Welcome back. Let's bring you what the days are saying. Which the worst spot for choice? I don't know. Where do we go to? Maybe if this Nigeria is ready. Mr. Akintobi is a journalist joining us virtually from the United Kingdom. Mr. Akintobi, thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure. Good morning. And let me start by congratulating Kayode on a well-deserved award. More wins for Kayode, more wins for Channels, and for blazing a trail. Channels has always been at the top of the game, and they didn't disappoint this year. So more wins. Congratulations, Kayode. And by the way, Jeff, you look really spiffy this morning. I love that suit.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. The same men don't know how to accept compliments, but I accept it. But it's okay. Anyway, Mr. Akintobi, you look great as well. So let's get to the this Nigeria. This Nigeria is leading with 2027. It's 10 of the South. It's 10 of the South, says ADC chieftain El-Rufai, as opposition leaders warn of danger of one-party state. They are just blowing hot air. Presidency counters claims. So this kind of, if this really came from Nasser El-Rufai, this doesn't signify a good time in the future of the ADC, because I know people like Atiku Abubakar, the former vice president, who want to run. But this seems to be the natural sentiment of an unwritten convention when it comes to Nigerian politics, that South should do 8 years when North finishes 8 years. What do you make of this nuance, if you will?
Well, it's a gentleman's agreement that has always been a pivotal part of politics since 1999, and it's been quite respected, except for the one anomaly that occurred when late President Yar'Adua passed away and Vice President Goodluck had to step in for him. That was when that calculus was upended for a little while. But other than that, we've respected that rotational agreement as a way to solidify our unity and to make sure there's no marginalization and everyone feels that they belong to the federation. And it has worked quite well for our unity, I would say. And so part of why PDP had a problem in 2023 was the fact that it was viewed that it was a turn of the South after the Buhari 8 years was the North's turn, and the next 8 years should have been that of the South. So any Northerner who ran in 2023 was viewed as a usurper, except maybe by the Northerners anyway. But there were a good number of Nigerians who voted against the PDP simply because they felt they were violating that gentleman's agreement of that rotation between North and South. So truth be told, after the first 4 years of President Tinubu, the South is still entitled, not statutorily, but informally, the South is still entitled to another 4 years. Whether that 4 years comes from the APC, comes from the ADC, comes from the PDP, comes from whatever party, the bottom line is it should be Southern candidates that are presented by parties that respect the agreement that has held Nigeria together up till today in terms of political rotation and office sharing. Now, with regards to the ADC, the assumption or the speculation is that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is gunning for that ticket, and that he has basically structured that party in such a way that he will win the nomination, which is why you see people like Peter Obi beginning to become disillusioned with the ADC and is kind of backtracking away from that coalition. It's because the sense is that Atiku has sewn up the nomination. If that's the case, a person like El-Rufai is saying, boy, we're not going to go very far because it's still the turn of the South in 2027. Let's not shoot ourselves in the foot the same way the PDP did in 2023. And I kind of align with what El-Rufai is saying, although I have issues with him, I have problems with him on other issues. But in terms of this rotational thing, I think that any party that wants to stand a realistic chance in 2027 needs to field a Southern candidate. And I think that's why you see people like Amechi, people like Obi, all of them went to the ADC in the hope that they would have a free and fair primary, and perhaps they would zone the presidency to the South if they learned the lessons from 2023. But it's clear that the lessons have not been learned if El-Rufai is having to remind the ADC that, look, we don't want to make the mistakes of 2023. It's the turn of the South. It's a continuing turn of the South in 2027. So let's not field a northern candidate. How that will sit with Atiku, I don't know. But the chairman of that party, David Mark, is an astute politician. He's been around for a long time. He started in the military. He's been in the Senate. He's been the Senate leader. So I think he has the gravitas to be able to navigate this issue and get some kind of a resolution that will stand the party in good stead. Because as it is, I'm not sure the PDP will have a candidate to field in 2027 based on all the things that are happening in the PDP. Look at just yesterday, Agbo Kefas of Taraba collected a membership form for the APC, which he postponed his movement to the PDP, to the APC because of what happened in Kebbi a couple of weeks ago. So his departure is a done deal. He's left the PDP, which I think leaves them with 4 governors or thereabouts. So they're not looking very well-footed for 2027. So ADC might be the only possibility in terms of mounting a proper challenge to the APC in 2027. And if they are now being mired in controversies of, we want to probably field a northern candidate when it should still be the South's turn, then they are already diminishing their own chances of putting on any kind of a credible competition. So I think that's what El-Rufai is warning against. And I think many Nigerians will identify with what El-Rufai is saying in this instance.
Interesting times, Mr. Akintobi. Just to be clear, that quote is from ADC News. Everyone is quoting ADC News, so you may not find that directly attributed to Mr. El-Rufai or in a tweet that he made. It was just ADC News that made that post. But let's head over to Vanguard newspaper. This morning, Vanguard leads with a very, very shocking story. I mean, never would you have, pictured a time where a terrorist leader, or a bandit leader, as you call him, would have his quote on the front page. But here we are. Allegations of a terrorist. Turji Bello says 2 former governors fueling insecurity. It's a page 5 read. He says ex-governors responsible for long-running insecurity in the north admits peace talks, denies 30 million naira payoff. It's all lies, say governor sources. And security forces gunned down notorious bandit Kachala and Allah in Sokoto. And you see a picture of Bello Turji right next to President Bola Tinubu's image on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Mr. Akintobi.
It's a sign of the times. I mean, this is the most wanted man in Nigeria, and he has the effrontery to be making press statements and be on the front page of a national daily. First of all, that means that he's out in the open. He's not hiding anywhere. For him to be this public and to be making this kind of statement, it means that his whereabouts are known, and that surprises me a lot because he's the most wanted man. With regards to the import of what he is saying, it's been speculated quite a bit that this insecurity is being fueled by internal sources, by very heavyweight politicians. It's been said that some of them armed bandits in terms of when the elections were coming to support their candidacy and support their campaigns. It's also been alleged that some of this, the arming of bandits has to do with land grabbing. Some of it has to do with our mineral resources. There are various reasons that have been alluded to as to why this is happening. But when you now hear that 2 sitting governors were actually involved in arming bandits, whether they're armed with the intention of what is happening now or they're armed with other motives that now spiraled out of control and got beyond them, the bottom line is the allegation by this Turji Bello is that 2 governors, he specifically named the states, Zamfara and Sokoto, and one of those 2 governors is currently serving in the Exco today. And he said those 2 are privy, not just privy, but complicit in arming bandits and fueling this insecurity. Well, Of course, immediately the responses were quite vitriolic, saying that you can't believe the words of a terrorist. He's just saying this and saying that, and that he himself has collected money in the past, which he denied. Look, bottom line is this. The terrorism in Nigeria cannot be as rife as it is without some complicity from within. We all know this. And we've asked government to name the sponsors of terrorism. They even said it just last week that they will expose those who are sponsoring terrorism. So if these two governors, two former governors, are actually involved or were involved in this, then they should be made public. They should be accused publicly and taken through a prosecutorial process and brought to book if found to be culpable. I think that part of why this problem has defied solution is because there is internal conspiratorial efforts that, if you look at some of the news, for example, when the military gets ambushed, it's because somebody gave their movement away. When they get ambushed unexpectedly, you can tell that the bandits knew where they were going, when they would be passing a particular place, and they lay in wait for them. How did they get that kind of information? So there are people on the inside who are working with the bandits, working with the terrorists, cooperating with them, and if it actually reaches to the upper echelons of government, as is being alleged, it makes the whole situation a whole lot worse. There's a saying that the insect that eats the vegetable, or that eats away at vegetable, resides within the vegetable itself. It's not coming from outside and crawling in to come and eat the vegetable from wherever it's coming from, but that is actually located within the vegetable. So if this is what is happening, it makes this monster a whole lot harder to fight. And maybe that's why it's defied solution up to today, is that all the efforts, it's like you are in a car and one person is pressing the accelerator, the other person is pressing the brake at the same time. That car can't move forward. So if all our efforts are geared towards fighting this insurrection and taking it down, while at the same time people who are supposed to be on our side in fighting this are actually helping to support it, it just creates a stalemate. And maybe that's why we've been seeing a lack of progress in fighting this scourge. But my worry really is that a person like Turji Bello can actually be making public pronouncements, not just on the front page of a newspaper, a highly regarded daily newspaper, but the fact that he has the wherewithal, the effrontery, and the unmitigated gall to be able to come out and speak publicly. I don't care what he has to say. Yeah. I think that the fact that he is so very wanted, this is an indictment on us and ourselves, that he can have the effrontery to do this in spite of what he had to say.
And we hope that the Tinubu administration will have the political will to get out this insect that is eating the vegetable right inside the vegetable. The conspiracy is unsettling. There you have it, the image of a bandit. It's not concealed. We can see him, and that means that this bandit is known and can be arrested. Why he hasn't been arrested leaves very little to the imagination. The Guardian newspaper takes a different path away from the other papers, and the way this is captioned is causing us to reflect on cases of corruption that has been initiated against former officers of the past administration, beyond just at their own individual record, but holistically as a product of the legacy of the past administration. Mr. Akitobi, there you have it. Buhari's legacy on trial as Emefiele. Ex-ministers face 3.5 trillion naira graft probe. I believe this is an aggregation of the sums for which these past officers are being investigated for. There you have it. Former Minister Chris Ngige, former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Silva, Timi Press Silva. You have former DG of NS the social investment program under the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Hajia Umar Sadiq. You have former governor of CBN there and the other past officers. Mr. Akintobi, how are you weighing in on this particular one?
This report is rather disconcerting for one primary reason: the fact that late President Buhari was known to be not just an advocate of, but a practitioner of moral rectitude, integrity, and lack of corruption. He came into office, he rode into office on the reputation of him being a disciplinarian, an austere person, a non-lavish person, a person who abhorred corruption, dishonesty, graft, theft, you name it. All of the things that spell corruption, he stood against. And I've never heard any allegation laid at his feet about personal corruption, whether when he was first head of state or when he came back as president. So it seems rather schizophrenic that somebody who himself was a towering giant of incorruptibility was now surrounded by people. And the sheer quantum of people we are talking about here boggles the mind that so many could be facing allegations of corruption in a Buhari administration. I remember the first month that President Buhari was in office, and we didn't have one single power failure across the entire country. And people said the fear of Buhari is the beginning of efficiency and the beginning of plugging all the loopholes and all the leakages in government. That everybody's so scared of this man that they're all sitting up. Nobody's stealing any money, and you know, look at, and they gave the issue of no blackouts as evidence of the fact that everybody is so in line now based on Buhari's reputation. So 8 years later, to now see the sheer quantum, you have Timi Silva. Last week it was Ngige. Week before it was Malami. You have Hadi Sirika. You have Emir Fiele. You have the former Minister of Power, Maman. And you just start counting all of them and you say, what? And it makes me ask, did late President Buhari sleep his way through the 8 years he was in power? Was it just his reputation that preceded him, but was he really hands-on in terms of what was going on around him? Otherwise, how? I mean, yeah, these are all still allegations, right? But there's no smoke without fire, I don't believe. And if we look at our antecedents anyway, when we start talking about, oh, he got appointed to a juicy ministry. What's the meaning of juicy ministry? Right now, we're talking about ambassadorial appointments. Everybody's looking for juicy country to go to. So this notion of juicy is simply based on the idea of what is in it for me. So historically, we've always known that people who go to the ministries, go to the MDAs, there's one particular orientation in our thought process. We're going there to make good for ourselves, make good for our loved ones, make good for our friends, and possibly as a latter thought, make good for the country as a latter thought.
All right, Mr. Akintobi, yes.
Yes.
Well said. We've got time. Well said. Thank you so much. When it comes to the issue of Nigeria, I think the passion exudes literally on everyone, because we just want this to be moderated, to stop as much as possible. So you see, like, it's almost like a crack team of alleged allegations against all of them, the tune of 3.5. You know, Nigeria right now, when you hear the amount that has been alleged, you wonder, billions are no longer a thing. It's now trillions. It used to be millions, now it's billions, then now trillions. But Mr. Akintobi, thank you so much for sharing your insight, as always. Very, very apt. We appreciate you, sir.
My pleasure always. Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll get started with issues around national security and a couple of other conversations we have. It's a potpourri of conversations in quick succession. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.